2020 BMW S1000 XR Review. Dubbed an adventure sport by BMW, the S1000 XR was the Germany manufacturer's answer in 2015 to Ducati's game-changing Multistrada, and it has always been amazingly capable. Heck, I even know one fast guy who regularly does track days on his XR. The differences between the 2020 BMW S1000 XR and previous editions is striking, as the motor, chassis, and suspension have all been completely redesigned. The new XR is lighter, more powerful, more compact, and better handling, a dramatic improvement, and I absolutely loved it. Overall weight is down by 22 pounds to 491 pounds. That is a very impressive weight saving, taking into consideration the 2020 BMW S1000 XR is now Euro 5 compliant. The XR's engine alone is 6% lighter and nearly a half-inch slimmer, while the drivetrain sheds 7% of its weight. Weighing less than 500 pounds at the curb is a respectable weight for a sport touring machine, and BMW claims the XR is almost 40 pounds lighter than the Ducati Multistrada 1260S, and a whopping 66 pounds lighter than the Kawasaki Versys 1000 SELT+. The engine's peak horsepower is not increased as much as its low RPM torque. Still, the 2020 XR is no slouch. It puts out 165 horsepower at its peak, on the way to a 12,000 RPM redline. I was impressed by the sheer mid-range grunt from the XR motor coming out of any corner, as it put out a peak of 84 foot/lbs of torque at 9,250 RPM. The reworked S1000R Superbike engine simply doesn't bog down or feel lacking in any way. It is a subtle but useful improvement over its predecessor. The top three gears have longer ratios for reduced fuel consumption and sound output. Gear by gear, BMW raises the rations, 2% for fourth gear, 4% for fifth, and 8% for sixth gear. Regardless, there was no lack of performance in the higher gears compared to the previous model that I could detect. With the lower revs at any given speed, the XR is quieter, a great way to reduce fatigue on a touring-capable motorcycle. The engine feels relaxed at high speed, and there is minimal buzziness from it. Perhaps this is because the motor's rotating masses have been centralized for less inertia, but either way, the engine was not only powerful, it was pleasant on long rides. The gearbox, with up/forward/down quick shifting, is butter smooth. The transmission clicked into the next ratio so effortless, sometimes I wondered if it had actually happened. I have yet to discover a false neutral, and the gearbox is simply a joy to use. The clutch now has a slipper design for reducing back torque on rapid deceleration. I'm a little surprised the XR did not already feature a slipper clutch, but it does have one now. There is no assist function, however. There are 4 riding modes on the 2020 S1000 XR, Dynamic, Road, and Rain, plus Dynamic Pro. The 3 standard power modes affect engine power and throttle response, engine brake level, traction control intervention, wheelie control, and the ABS level of intervention. Dynamic Pro allows individual adjustability within those various functions. Dynamic Pro requires a settings-based virtual coding plug to activate, as it puts safety software settings in the hands of the rider. The fueling is impeccable on the XR. It is smooth in every gear, and the throttle was super easy to modulate. The 2020 BMW S1000 XR's chassis is 9% lighter, almost 5 pounds, and is much narrower at the waist. Despite the XR's adventure level height, the narrower waist makes it easier to reach the ground with your boots. This motorcycle has some height to it, and I didn't love climbing on and off compared to standard street bikes. This is clearly down to personal choice. Certainly, if you're on the taller side, then the XR is definitely for you. Ergonomically, the new XR is slightly more aggressive. The rider is 3/4 of an inch farther forward, and the handlebars are narrower by 3/4 of an inch, and lower by 0.4 inches. This gives more front wheel feedback, and improved weight distribution. Overall, the XR is very comfortable, and the riding position feels intuitive and natural.